Hi, and welcome to the Transform Your Wellness podcast. I'm Karen Hagberg, and I'm a health, wellness, and life coach who help people transform their wellness and life and help them create more balance, ultimate wellness, and a life they love. The Transform Your Wellness podcast is heartfelt conversations with incredible people who are contributing and following their passion and soul purpose. It's conversations with people who have not only transformed their own life, but they also contribute to the world by helping others transform as well. Today, I have the absolute privilege to have heartfelt conversation with Samantha Selby, who is a family wellbeing coach and is the CEO and founder of Supernatural Coaching. Now, Sam is a certified level 4 quantum human design practitioner and uses this research-based technology with her clients to help them understand their unhelpful behaviors and mindsets that holds them back from living an authentic, meaningful life, and often creates suffering and difficulties in their relationships. At the heart of Supernatural Coaching's mission is helping support and empower families, including children that are struggling with their family's dynamics. The Sammy's passion is to educate and promote healthy relationships, self-awareness, and family well-being through her human design products. So I actually connected with Sam a few months ago over social media because I myself, I don't know how I came across, but somehow I came across human design and I was drawn towards it. And we just had a brief little conversation over Messenger, and then it was left that way. And then after a few months, again, here we are. We have been connected again, and I believe nothing happens. There's a reason why we connect with people again. So here we are. I am incredibly interested in human design. I've had my report done myself, and I've learned a lot more about myself. It's been absolutely incredible. So the title of this podcast is Discover Your Authentic Self Through Human Design. And that's really what it's all about. So it's a pleasure having you here, Samantha. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Karen. Thank you for that lovely introduction. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
So I am originally from Manchester in the UK, and I have lived in Sydney for about 15 years.
Okay.
So I'm from the colourful suburbs of Manchester.
So what brought you to Australia?
Myself and my now ex-partner, we came traveling about 20 years ago and realized, like most people, it's where we want to bring our kids up. And so we went where we did a work visa here, and we went back, and we then applied for our permanent residency, and here we are.
You love Australia by the sound of it.
Yeah, I think, it's definitely, I love England as well. I miss my family, I miss the humor, I miss my friends. But yeah, Australia is, it's great. And where I live in Sydney, it's just amazing. It's great for my kids and, the weather, and love it.
Fantastic. And so you got a couple of young kids, is that right?
Yes, I do. I have 2 daughters. Peggy, my eldest, is 11, and Bessie is 8. She's my youngest. Yeah, so cheeky little girls.
Yeah. And you are very interested in helping families, and we're going to talk a little bit about that coming up. I just want to get a bit of an idea of your background and how you kind of got into this human design. So tell me a little bit about your background. What have you been doing prior to to starting your business and starting to do human design? What's your background?
Yeah. Yeah, so my professional background is in project management and business analysis. So I I'm really good at kind of streamlining like automated business processes.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was my interest, to go into businesses and the uh, help the different departments streamline things and to make it all flow. And yeah, so that was my professional background. Then I got into health and wellness coaching when the lockdown started. I had to stand down from my role, and at the time I'd just become a single mom. I'd separated from my ex-partner, and I needed to homeschool them. And so I decided that, actually, I think a lot of people was kind of in this thought process as well. They wanted to study something else, and so it was a great opportunity. So I stood down from my role and started to train as a wellness practitioner. And then the Healy came my way, and then I deep dived into all of that training, and then human design found me and landed in my lap. And I was just, my head blown off, basically. I was just like, oh my gosh, I need to study this more deeply. When I discovered my own design, I was just blown away. And I thought, this is one of the tools that I'm going to use in my practice, and I'm going to train. And I went on then to find, I believe, one of the best schools in the world for it. So that's kind of how I got into human design. And yeah.
That's amazing. So it's fairly recent for you. It's not like,
Mm,
so it's about 3 years ago since you started doing that.
yeah, 3 years ago. Yeah,
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 yeah. That's amazing. And isn't it incredible that the two of us actually got a lot in common that I wasn't really aware of? So that's how it goes too. Like,
yeah,
we're both obviously into wellness coaching, helping people, and also into the Healy, which is all about energy, quantum physics, and then human design. Yeah, I can see your face, quantum physics. It's
yeah,
one, isn't it? And
yeah.
I believe that's a part of the human design. Is it? So tell me a little bit about the background, because we've got listeners here that I'm sure has no idea what human design. So if you were to explain that to someone that doesn't know anything about it, tell us a little bit about the background and what is it?
Yeah, so human design is basically a combination of the Western astrology, it's the Kabbalah tree of life, it's the Chinese I Ching, it's the Hindu chakra system, and it merges with quantum physics and bioenergetics to create your birth chart, which is said to be the soul map of who you are. So it's your authentic blueprint. So our job as a human design practitioner is to help people decode their chart and interpret their chart to help them come back to their most authentic self and live their full potential of what they've come here to do.
Mm, mm. God, it's
Yeah.
a really good combination of different things that
It,
absolutely
it
fascinates me and put together in one. So who actually developed human design? What's the
Yeah, so there's a story, a bit of a crazy story behind, but basically the whole system was channeled through through a guy called his name was I can't pronounce his surname, Alan Kraukria, I think, but he basically had this download of information with no history of metaphysical knowledge, and downloaded this, or it was channeled through him over the period of 8 days and 8 nights, I think, in Ibiza in 1987. So really crazy story, but so fascinating. So he was the person that brought human design to Earth. It was
wow?
a gift to humanity. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
So-
there's more kind of information about that in my e-guide. It kind of gives the whole story of who Rara Ruhu is.
Mm.
He's passed over now, but has got a he's got a school now, and you know he has a training faculty. So he's one of the certifying bodies, and
Yeah.
the person that I trained with, so my mentor, Karen Curry Parker, was one of Rara Ruhu's students. She was a student and trained with him for 20 years, but then she developed her own quantum human design school. And yeah, so yeah.
Amazing. So why do you think people would benefit to know their human design?
Well, that's a great question. And I think it's one of the things now where people are starting to realize that they're here for something else. You know, I think, we've had a paradigm shift, and we're now starting to kind of awaken and remember who we are. You know, we've discovered now that we're actually not just five senses, and we're not just a physical body. We're actually a spiritual being. We're very powerful beings. And yeah, so the benefits from it are huge. Just for me personally, I've been able to I've been able to apply this system to every area of my life. And I've been able to look deeply into my chart and realize that actually I do have this gift. I can do that. Like, it resonates with you so much. It's just that then, you have a shadow side to that, to that key and to that layer of your chart. And so it's about being aware and about being conscious and deciding how are you gonna behave, and how are you gonna live the fullest potential of that. So it's just a very detailed awareness tool, basically. So yeah, that you can apply it to all different areas of your life. The benefits are just limitless.
Mm. And I mean, I had my report done, and I would say I know myself pretty well. I'm pretty aware. I've done a lot of work on myself, and I'm consistently on a journey doing that.
Mhm.
So there were a lot of things I went, it was just confirmed to me, and I went, oh my goodness, that it kind of, that is me, it's incredible. But um, it certainly gives you a chance to look at things and become more aware again, and put you in a place where you can make a choice how you kind of show up in the world and what's going to be more beneficial for you. I mean, you simply, for me, it was in the face, really, some things that, like, there's certain situations that wouldn't be so beneficial for me to be in, for example. And sometimes I've been in those positions, and now I kind of go, I know why. That's not the best way for me to show up in the world. So,
Yeah.
and it's very different to, I know a lot of people go and do psychic readings and things like this, totally different. What would have you got any comments about that? Because I know many people kind of, should I say, they go to have a reading, but they're more in the passive seat. Does that make sense?
Mm. Yeah, and I think it's interesting because I did go and have a psychic reading a few years ago. I think depending on, I think for me, it felt like this, because the psychic, she read, she could see, it was almost like she could see the energy. It's kind of like she sees your energy map. And the psychic can kind of, that's why they tell you kind of the things that you already know about yourself. So, she was saying to me, you're here to be a teacher. And she told me about my children. She's she's a learner, she's curious soul, and all of that. And so you're right, like the psychics kind of like have this they can interpret the energy or the soul, the energy map. But this is a way how you can kind of read your own. They kind of can read the aura, and I guess human design is the mechanics of the aura,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Yeah. So you kind of get to do that deep dive yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really, really interesting. And as I understand, there are different energy types. I found out which energy type I am. Can you just go into that a little bit, the different energy types?
Yep.
In just a little short. What are
Yeah.
the
So
energy types?
yep. So there's five energy types. Um, there is the manifesting generator. There's the manifester. There's the generator and projector and the reflector. So the manifesting generator is a hybrid of the manifester and the generator. So the difference is that the throat is defined. So yeah, I don't want to go into it too much because I don't want to confuse, but yeah, so basically we all have kind of different roles. We have different energetic, we have different gifts, we have different decision making. We we basically have different chakras defined and undefined, and yeah, that kind of makes up our birth chart. I don't want to kind of go in too much because I don't want to confuse the listeners. You just got to go and maybe just download the e-guide and read it all for yourself, and or print off your own birth chart.
Yeah, yeah. Some energy types are more common than others, aren't they?
Yes, there is. So there is the manifesting generators and the generators. They make up about 70% of the population. The reflector is the rarest energy type. They're the 1%. The projectors are 20% of the population, and then the manifestors make up about 9-10% of the population. So there's a real kind of mixture. The manifestors, sorry, the generators and the manifesting generators are here to kind of do the work and build. And it's not to say that anybody else is not here to do the work. It's just that we have that life force energy consistently within us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I thought it was really interesting, because you can kind of look at it from like a vocational point. What sort of work situations would be more suitable for my type?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So you're a manifesting generator. So, you'll probably, as you've had in your career, in your life career, you might maybe have lots of different, you've maybe dabbled in lots of different types of careers. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely getting into different projects, and I take on a lot. And whatever was in the chart, I was literally giggling about it because,
Yeah.
I actually do that well, and I can do it, and other people don't kind of understand. And that was in there too. Um, that's that I don't mind doing that, and I can do it. And that was
Yeah.
something that came up and it was kind of nice for me to get that confirmation too, that that's okay for me to be like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was me as well. Yeah, because you kind of that's what comes so natural to you, to be able to just kind of spin lots of plates, and you can do it effortlessly, and you usually do it kind of very well. You're very good at that. But then you can be perceived as being flaky, or you're not kind of focusing your attention on one thing. But that's kind of how you're designed to work. You're meant to kind of look at all these different projects and then use your, your sacral, or whatever your authority is to, respond and take that on and see if it works. You're here to experiment, and I mean, we're all here to experiment, but yeah, it's kind of, if you don't kind of follow through with that or finish it, then you may have been perceived as just kind of being a flip-flopping around life. But when you get to a certain age, or when we get to a certain age, it's kind of like we weave all that wisdom and the knowledge of what we've kind of learned throughout our experience into what we're doing now, and what our soul calling is, what our mission is, and that's what feels right. And you get, for me, like all of my admin and the techie stuff that I've done in the past, like I'm actually weaving all of that into my business now. You're probably the same. Just because we're now in wellness and, spiritual modalities doesn't mean to say that, you don't have to do actually the techie work and all of that to run a business. So, yeah.
I actually enjoy that part myself, and
Me too.
I really do. It gives me a bit of balance going from one thing to the next, and using the brain in different ways. I think that sort of stimulates me anyway in a good way.
Yeah.
But doing my report, I was kind of reflecting on how incredibly powerful it is when it comes to relationships and families, like with the partner you're with, knowing if the partner were to read your report and really embrace that and get a better understanding, and vice versa. Do you hear that from a lot of people?
Yeah, big time. It's one of the, I tell you, if I had this report, if I had the knowledge 10 years ago, like, yeah, it was so, like, when I read my ex-partner's design, I was just like, oh, okay. So, you get to kind of, you get to realize that everybody has a different design. Everybody's individual. Everybody has, their shadow side, and they have but it's kind of, it's really good to understand how your partner is designed to operate, because then you can kind of, hold space and give grace for that. So it's an amazing relationship tool. If you know that you're, a lady who I was coaching a few weeks ago said, I realized that my partner's a projector, and I've been nagging him because she's a generator, and she has the channel of busyness, which is the same one of the channels you have, Karin. And she said, I just thought he was lazy, and I just nagged him all the time and was like, but it's like, because he doesn't, he works all week and he spends a lot of time relaxing at the weekends. And she's like, I'm really just kind of pulling back now.
Yeah.
And I think just getting to understand each other on that deeper level can work wonders for your relationships. And that's why I'm really passionate about using it in my family well-being practice, because, that's all it is. It's just awareness, and, realizing that people, they're not doing things to piss you off. It's they're doing it because, they might be unconscious of that, but it kind of brings them to it makes them conscious of their shadow sides as well. So then it's like, oh, I'm doing that thing. Yeah. I need to think about, how that might affect my partner or my child, or yeah. It's an incredible relationship tool.
Oh, I keep thinking, it could save, this is a big statement, but I think it could save a lot of relationships. Absolutely. And just like yourself, having gone through I've gone through a divorce, and early on in life, if I were to be have the awareness that I have now, my life would be very, very different, I think. It obviously requires two people that are willing to look at themselves and not forcing their own values upon another person, really understanding and embracing that person for who they are, and then bring out the best in that person, or let that person, as you say, be their own authentic self.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, that's really, the foundations of a healthy relationship, isn't it? Allowing that person to just be authentically themselves and not trying to project your past trauma and your own,
Yeah.
all your own demons and bullshit onto that person. And yeah, that's kind of how we get entangled into dysfunctional cycles and toxic, behaviors.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I see, like you said, we're in this absolutely huge, like, transformational times at the moment, where we're upgrading and where we're becoming more aware, our consciousness is expanding. I see so many people now that are really kind of starting to step into, their who they really are. I mean, or they're searching for, what is it that really gives me that burning desire to do something, that passion, that joy. People are starting to look for that. And I really think this is a great tool to, first of all, understand yourself so much better, and then allowing yourself to explore a little bit. I mean, there's so much out there that we can be doing, and we can contribute with, and just being brave to step into that space, eh?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's, I think definitely I agree with you when you say, we're all starting to we've all kind of made this, there's a shift, astrologically, we've gone into this, we're trying to move into this 5D, 5D world now, and we're all upgrading and we're all remembering who we are. But yeah, this is just a great awareness tool to unlock all of those gifts, those qualities, those talents, all of that. And you can, look at your design. And the idea is, and why I've created the human design reports, is that you actually get to really deep dive into your own design. And then, the workbook that is weaved throughout the report, that then helps you decondition the not self or the unbalanced self. You start to really kind of recognize where you have maybe you've been perceived throughout your childhood, and that's created trauma, and that's created dysfunctional behaviors. It's a very comprehensive and detailed report. Every area is kind of, gives you that balanced theme and unbalanced theme, and then you kind of get to go, oh yeah, I see that I do that. And so we're definitely now living in interesting times. Everybody's definitely trying to, and I think just what's going on, politics, financially, everybody's now thinking, okay, so how can I create a passive income? How can I do something else? Like, what people are starting to realize, that they need to maybe do something else. So many people are setting up businesses. There's so many entrepreneurs out there. So yeah, it can be a great tool for, like I say, you can apply it to all different areas of your life. I think you have to start with knowing who you are. That's kind of, that's the key to everything. Yeah. You can't bypass that bit,
No, exactly. It's all about that. First, finding yourself and accepting that and stepping into that. And I mean, really, when we think about it, life, isn't it so much easier when we just ourselves? Because we can just basically, I see it as, we can just speak from our heart, we can speak with an open throat, and it just happens. Because I mean, we all have our talents, we all have our things we can contribute to, through our passions and through our life experiences.
Mm.
because, gee, we've had a lot of life experience, haven't we? So
Yes.
even that could be something we share or help other people with, because
Yeah.
there's other people that are just one step below you that we can kind of support and help. So it's wonderful seeing so many people stepping into becoming, I think, a little bit more, as you said, entrepreneurial, or stepping into that space where, um, yeah, it's not just working through someone else's passions and someone else's vision.
Mm. Yeah, we're all here to, be masterful, um, and be successful. And, we all have the capabilities to design our own life, and, uh, it's, yeah, we're definitely moving into very interesting times. And, if you were in the wellness space, then I think now there's a lot of coaches out there, and it's kind of like, how do I separate myself from, the rest of them? But we're all here individually with a unique message, with our own unique gifts. And yeah, so we can use human design as a tool to really kind of get clear and get a lot of clarity from, what we're here to do. We're all here with our own soul mission, and human design can help you to find that and embody that.
And I really, when I had my report, by I'm going to show people are actually on the watching the video can see that I actually printed my report here, and it's
Hmm.
about 135 pages, isn't it? 134 pages. It's incredible. But I thought, oh, this is a tool that I will certainly be using with my tribe of awakened warriors and warrioresses and my clients,
Mm,
because it's a simple yet really profound tool to have. That's so I was just blown away with it. So as you say, many coaches can use it as a thing to kind of enhance and their business and yeah. So tell me why you created this incredible, report, because it's so comprehensive.
yeah, so I was finding, Karen, in my practice, when I did my first two certifications, my level 1 and level 2. And we're all kind of encouraged to go out and do our readings and do practice our readings. And I was finding that when I was doing human design readings, that my clients were going away with a lot of information, that they wouldn't retain that information. And a lot of the clients that I was seeing were kind of in a bit of a life cycle crisis as well. So it was really hard for them to retain that information. And I was kind of giving them printouts and,
Right.
but they, they, like I say, they're maybe going through divorce or, change of career, or just in a very low point in their life. So in a lot of emotional and mental pain.
Yeah.
And then I would give them links to videos to watch. But it's yeah, it's kind of a lot. It's a very complex subject.
Yeah.
So my idea was to, and it's not, this idea is not new. There's other people who are doing reports, but what I decided to do was to start to make notes of each layer. And
Yeah.
then I then thought, okay, well, I'm going to try and get some software. So I managed to get some off the shelf software at the time. And I contacted a developer in the UK. And because I've built, kind of worked with developers before to build bespoke systems, yeah, I contacted him, and he came back with this quote. And at the time, I didn't have the money, and I was like, okay, I'll just keep using this off the shelf software and I'll code it myself. But then back in May last year, he came back to me and said, I've built this thing, what we were talking about, and do you want to be one of the first beta testers? And I was like, yeah. So that's kind of how this tool became. It was already done, but now it's more kind of refined, and now it's automated. So the idea is that when people have their human design reading report, that it gives them the real foundational knowledge of what that area is that they're about to read into, what it encompasses, and then you go into your design, and then you have that workbook section. And so it's the equivalent of having a level 1, 2, and 3 reading. I'm level 4 certified, but then we stop there, because when you want to go kind of deeper into the chart and you want to have a look at the planets and the channels and the gates, you already have the questions, and you can come and have a reading with those questions, because then you get to kind of ask the right questions. Because also, as a human design reader, it was like people would say, okay, so just read my chart. And it's just not that easy. You've got to kind of know, okay, well, what do you want to know? What do you want a reading about? Your career or your family? Like, what is it that you need help with? It's not just here's my chart, do this reading, because you're only going to really know, their energy type. You can tell them about their profile, but you have to know what's going on for that person. So it's used in a coaching process as well. So you need to know kind of the history.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of why I created the tool. And then what was I going to say? I was going to say something else. So when I finished my mentor, Karen Curry Parker, she has a publishing house. She's wrote 17 books on human design, and I went to her publishing house and hired the editors from there, because they speak the human design language. So they kind of went over the whole material, and so it's now a kind of a finished product that I can now confidently take out in the world and say, okay, this is your reading. So when you go on my website and you order your report, it pulls in all the different areas of your chart and gives you an explanation. And then the workbook is also specific to your design. So there's no two books the same. There's no two reports the same, unless you've got twins, of course. But even still, if you've got the same design, you're not. Yeah.
So if you are a twin, are you exactly the same?
You have, if you're an identical twin and you're born,
Yeah.
within a few minutes of each other, then you do have the same design. But you definitely have a different, you have different soul missions, even though you have the same design.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. So you did my report, but then you delved a little bit. You had something you were going to share, was it, regarding my?
Yeah. So I was just going to talk about your sun gates, Karen, and I wanted to see I was going to kind of read out a little bit about your sun gates, and just if you could just let me know whether, because the sun gates, the conscious and unconscious are, it's what you're here to share with the world. That's what you're here to give to the world. Yeah. So you have the gate 20, which is the gate of patience in quantum human design. And the mastery of that gate is the ability to trust your intuition and to know what needs to be set in place, and what people need to be gathered, what skills need to be mastered, and be ready when the time is right, to trust in the right timing, and to heed the intuition to get ready. The unbalanced expression of that is to act before the time is right, to fail to listen to your inner guidance, and to feel pressure to take action before the time is right, and then feel frustrated or want to quit. So the to be patient and to master the ability to wait, but not kind of dive in when the timing's not right. So yeah, so I think when we get to our age, it's kind of like, yeah, that you can kind of figure out in the past we've maybe done that, and that's kind of what's messed up the energy of things.
Oh,
Yeah,
patience
so that
definitely a thing, that I know that if I master that, it's a big one, you know?
yeah, so I because you're a manifesting, like myself, we're manifesting generators, so it's we want things to be done now, so we're like boom boom boom. We just want, because we work fast,
Yeah,
and then we skip a lot of steps. That's kind of what the lesson of the manifesting generator energy type is. We've got to sometimes go back because we've kind of jumped ahead too fast.
yeah,
Yeah.
amazing. I can't wait to learn more about that and to, talk to you more about that. It's
Yeah.
absolutely. So
Yeah, so one of the other products that I do is
mm,
I do the children's reports.
yeah,
So that's really good for parents. If you have children and you want to keep them in their blueprint and you want to parent them according to their design, I'll show
mm,
you my little. So you've printed off your book there,
yeah,
Karin, so this is in the physical book. So the product is actually a digital report, but you can have a physical book made as well. And then we have the children's reports as well. So we go deep into the child report. And a lot of people, when they read their child's report, they go, okay, I'm doing all this wrong. So it's a great tool to kind of, keep
oh,
your
wow,
child as their authentic self, and to help to teach your child to live their design. I mean, I parent my kids according to their design. They don't know that
yeah,
I'm using human design as a, I don't say, oh well, you're a generator, you're a 5 profile, I just kind of, now I'm aware of how to kind of subtly, differences in parenting them, and what their needs are, and what their energy needs are, and what they need from me to feel most supported.
mm.
Yeah.
Incredible useful tool. I mean, I kind of wish I knew more about this when my kids were young, that's for sure. But now being a grandma, I'm really, really so excited about being able to do it for my grandkids.
Yeah. Well, I think that's kind of, it's like a preventative tool.
Yeah.
It's kind of like we get to our age and we realize that the way that we've been parented, and it's not like it's our parents' fault. They didn't have the tools and the awareness and the knowledge that we do now. But most of us now are spending a lot of time in therapy talking about how our child has screwed us up. So this is kind of, if you have this tool, then you're able to kind of
Yeah.
teach your child that it's okay to be unique. It's okay to be different. And to with the parent report, it kind of really goes into the behavior needs behind the layers of their chart. So you can kind of, and then it gives you suggestions and helpful tips of how to bring them back into balance. But ultimately, really, it's more of a self-parenting tool for you. I would always say to the parents, start with your own design. Don't look at your child's and think, oh, what's wrong with my child? Because there's nothing wrong with your child. It's how you're projecting you know
Yeah.
your behaviors and onto them.
Yeah. So, I mean, what an incredible tool for families to do, like a whole family,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
being aware, or at least their parents, if even if they got young kids, just to be aware of the young kids. Obviously, the young kids are not going to sit down and perhaps do all their exercise.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was one of the things that I really was impressed with, because I'm all about, it's one thing doing a reading or going to a course, and we sit there passively, but then we don't actually go into asking ourselves the most important questions and then taking action I mean, it all starts with awareness, then you got to take action, and then you got to have accountability too. So if you can have if you don't have a coach, maybe you have your partner that can kind of gently remind you about, if they know more about you, that
Yes.
here are some maybe of the darkest sides that are showing up that you need to become aware of to be able to change it.
Yeah. And it's such a good, it's such a different conversation that you can have with your partner,
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
and then you kind of, your relationship starts to become, you have a deeper and more meaningful relationship. You can be totally honest, and you can, I mean, it's a very, like you say, it's a very comprehensive report. There's weeks of self-development work, just in that. But yeah, to be able to look at your own, and then to be able to be honest with, the person that, you love, and to read your children's, it's family well-being.
Absolutely.
That's
And that's what I was saying right at the start. We'll tap into that. And here we
yeah,
are right at the end. It's certainly about, family well-being. It's about creating healthy relationships and that self-awareness. But it all starts with ourselves and the willingness to do that. So I know we've covered a lot here now, Samantha, and I'm sure
mhm.
listeners or the people that are watching this are really curious about how they can have their own design done, how that all works, and I know we also, or you've offered, the listeners and the people watching a really amazing offer too. So maybe you want to run through that.
Yeah, so I have just for Karen's listeners, I have a special offer. So if you hop onto the link that Karen will provide, maybe in the show notes, there is a 20%, if you buy 2 or more reports, there's 20% off your total order. So that's for your first order. And we'll run that promotion maybe till the end of April. Yeah. So
Yeah.
with that, you get the free e-guide, which is like a 30-page, that is kind of, if you're a real beginner, and you get the foundational, the knowledge of what human design is, why wellness practitioners are using it, what the science is behind it, why it's such an amazing tool. We go into who founded it, all of that. And then you get your actual report, which is over 120 pages of your personalized report that's unique to you. You get the workbook, which is actually weaved throughout that report. And then there is if you want to come into our Facebook group, then we have a container for people who want to kind of go deeper into the chart, and we can help you answer questions. We'll do webinars, that's kind of down the track. But yeah, there's definitely a lot there for there's a lot of value in that. So yeah, so they just need to hop onto your link, Karen.
Amazing. It's been absolutely incredible. We'll definitely be posting the information so you can learn more about Samantha and myself and what we do, and all the links you need to get started with this report. That is such an amazing tool. It's been a pleasure learning more again, Samantha, about this. And yeah, thank you so much for taking the time for this chat we've had today. That's no doubt will add incredible value for anyone who, get their report done.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure talking. And yeah, I'm excited to get your viewers' feedback. And yeah, it's a great tool. So be sure to purchase it.
Thank you so much, Samantha.
Thank you, Karen.
Incredible to have had this conversation with you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you. My pleasure.
All right. I haven't stopped yet, but That's it.
Yes, there's
Sort of.
a
How was that? Was that okay?
yeah, good, good. It's such a, it's a funny one, really, because you kind of, you don't kind of want to talk about the terminology of human design because it will be sound like Japanese to some people, but then you've got the viewers who will know human design,
Yeah.
and yeah, so I guess kind of, I think there's a lot of, we covered a lot of things off. Yeah, so
That
hopefully you're going to get some sales from that,
Well,
Karen.
I will really, really put it out. I'm sending out a newsletter coming up, probably tomorrow or later today.